Hello, welcome to Undisputed Boxing. Apologies, we're a little bit late for this one. We really wanted to do it kind of over the weekend, but the European Championships kind of took precedent. I'm here with Rick. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment, negative or positive, it's all good. We like to chat and debate. I'm here with Rick. There's really only one place to start. We were given the news last week of the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight is officially off. Rick and I haven't spoken about this yet, and I really wanted to kind of get his thoughts on this because of all the people that I know, Rick is probably the least likely person to subscribe to any kind of conspiracy theories, and there are a lot that are being bandied around. So I will just quickly go through, I guess, the chain of events. I think it was maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. The fight was in doubt because Joseph Parker and Isaac Lowe had contracted or got the coronavirus and had to isolate. The fight's in doubt. I think Top Rank issued a statement saying they're working to try and make sure the fight still goes ahead. And then I think it was Thursday, correct me on the timeline here, Rick, but I think it was Thursday, then it officially announced that the fight is indeed off and postponed to October, and the date has been moved to October the 9th. So, Rick, conspiracy theory or not? What do you think?
Firstly, still gutted about England last night. This is a boxing channel, but we have mentioned the Euros. Penalties again. I'm in a hotel room in the arse end of nowhere with work. I don't know why I got a different background. I say not. Because I suppose I need very, 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 very strong evidence. I'm kind of one of those people that are, you know, there needs to be really strong evidence for me to believe something like that, I suppose. And there's more circumstantial stuff. So I do believe that there was some kind of COVID outbreak. I'm a bit peeved as to why it takes so long and why it's October. I heard some stuff that it's more to do with the location and getting the same location for the fight. But my view would be, does it need to be the same location? I suppose also it's like, you know, if it's conspiracy theory, what's the other end of it? What do people think the real reason is? I mean, I've heard Hearn say ticket sales and stuff like that. I don't know what a delay in the fight does for that. It's still the same fight. You might get a bit longer to promote it, but I'm not sure if that makes tons of difference. Not if Wilder's not going to speak. And that Fury wasn't ready, or was getting chinned. He didn't, you know. I heard some rumor that he got floored in training and something like that. It's possible, but I tend to go to the thing of it's what they say it is, unless it's really, you know. He didn't look in amazing shape, but he didn't look in bad shape. You know, considering, you know, he had to pop off at the last news conference. He was fleshy, but he always is, and it was still like 5-6 weeks out from the fight, so plenty of time to lose a bit. So yeah, I go with the theory that it probably is COVID. It sounds a bit messy of who's had it, who hasn't. I don't know if I've seen anything on timescales. I know, you know, there's a theory that it's bollocks because of Parker being at the UFC. I don't know if Parker's come out to say that he didn't have it or not. It depends on timings. He could have had it, tested positive a while ago, and now he's through isolation. Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, let me throw some things at you then. I mean, you've already picked up on a couple of them that would, I guess, promote some kind of, you know, conspiracy theory.
What do you think? Where's your money?
I'm a little bit like you, I guess. I guess I'm easily duped by potential sort of conspiracy theories. I guess I can sometimes be a little bit cynical. I know that you're kind of, you deal with facts and you're like, yeah, I'm not sure I believe that. Like every time we've had any debates, whether it's kind of a 9/11 or a JFK, I know that you're always like, you just debunk it straight away. I go absolute bollocks until I get some proof. which is something I find quite amusing. But I don't know. There's a seed of doubt, isn't there? And you've got Joseph Parker, obviously spotted it at UFC for the Conor McGregor Dustin Poirier 3 fight. If he's got COVID literally that week, he really should be sort of in isolation. There is the Fury sparring rumors that he's been knocked out badly, not just dropped, but knocked out badly, like concussed. The 3-month delay is something that kind of bothers me a little bit, because they're talking about, they haven't given an actual date. And to say that we need to put it off for 3 months, I'm like, well, you need to isolate for, is it 7 days or 10 days? You should still be able to pick this up, 4, 5, 6, maybe 6 weeks. Teofimo Lopez versus Kambosos, I think, was postponed, and they put a date for 6 weeks later for it to. The ticket sales is definitely one. I had a look at the ticket sales myself, and I know that a lot of people are kind of jumping on the ticket sales, saying they haven't sold as many tickets as they would have liked. It's not going to do very well commercially. They're hemorrhaging money. But I do know that ticket sales in the US, it works a little differently to what it does in the UK and maybe some parts of Europe, where fights sell out within 24, 48 hours, whereas in the US, the fight tends to sell out the week of the fight as they continue to promote, and that's just the way. It's a slightly different market. There is obviously an argument that they potentially comp a lot of those tickets as well. But then you've got, it is very well known that the first and second fight didn't do brilliantly on the commercially. They only just about broke even, or maybe lost a little bit because of how much they're paying Wilder and Fury. Yeah, I guess that's the argument for. I don't know. I tell you what, it's interesting how people are coming at for Team Fury, and I think it's almost like they haven't still fully forgiven. A lot of people seem to blame Camp Fury for the AJ Fury fight kind of falling through, and it's almost like they've not fully forgiven them for that. And now that this has happened, it's almost like they're really like coming at him and saying he's a fraud and all that kind of stuff. And I do think that's a little bit harsh. But also as well, I was going to say it's strange that Fury hasn't done, made any kind of announcement himself, or he hasn't put anything on Instagram. He's just silent, which I think is a little bit kind of odd. You'd think he'd want to address just sort of address any kind of like doubt as to whether he's got it or not. I don't know.
I did see one. I didn't watch the video, but I did see one like YouTube outlet that said they think he might be on the verge of retiring again. Don't know what their evidence again is for that. But do you think this? I know we'll talk about the knock-on effect this might have, but do you think this will maybe stop the Usyk fight?
I don't think so. I don't think so, and I think they've just got to kind of get on with their own. They've got to get on with their own, their own job at hand. There is talk that this contract could potentially be void if they don't fight each other. I think the solution is the WBC have got to step in for this. For me, they're continuously ridiculed for kind of making it up as they go along, franchise champion and all this. I think you've just got to strip Fury now. Everybody else has been fighting, whether, COVID or no COVID, it's 18 months now. And it's a very good chance that the fight doesn't go ahead in October. And then you're talking about fighting in January, February. And then that's 2 years that they haven't fought. And Fury or Wilder, they're holding the WBC belt, hostage. Maurizio Sullivan has really got to go, actually, enough is enough. You either have the fight or you don't. You put in, Dillian White versus Deontay Wilder, you order that for the vacant belt. And then you get things moving on, and that's when Fury will go, actually, now I need to do something. But nobody's putting any pressure on Fury to actually go, look, something's got to be done here. You're messing people around. Dillian White has been, look, he lost to Povetkin, but he avenged that defeat, and he isn't officially set as mandatory. And I just find that really bizarre, really bizarre.
Yeah, it's almost like they've got things at play. I think the book WBC do lean towards the Americans on stuff, and I don't know. I'd probably say something like, if I was a WBC, I'd be saying, if this doesn't happen in October, if it falls through again, you know, you're either going in recess or you're being stripped. I'd probably let it go one more time. And then, yeah, I'd say, right, you know, this belt's up for grabs. Because you're right, it's been 2 years. I mean, a strange 2 years.
Yeah.
But
everybody else has fought pretty much. Like, who still is yet to fight during this kind of cut? I don't think Manny Pacquiao's fought. Maybe you could argue that.
Gerard Miller.
Gerald Miller.
Yeah.
But everybody else has fought though, haven't they? You know, people are kind of bringing in big person. Like Canelo's had 4 fights.
Yeah, because he was meant to fight last December, then that never happened, did it? So you just wonder what's going on generally, or can he not get up for it? Is depression coming back? Could be all these things. I mean, I still think that, you know, the COVID will be the thing, because it's I mean.
Yeah, the other thing that does bother me as well, like Tyson Fury did an interview with Gareth Davis a couple of weeks ago, and he's talking about, you know, obviously this, you know, before the fight was called off, and he doesn't seem to be clamoring for the AJ fight. And I know that you know, talk is cheap, but he was talking about, you know, get a deal with Wilder, and then who knows, maybe I'll have to deal with a mandatory, or I might just go for a straight defense. There wasn't any kind of, and he doesn't seem to be showing any kind of like disappointment at the AJ fight not happening. That has got to be the #1 fight for him. Like, he's got, you know, that's the.
Yeah. I just don't know what goes on Wilder in Fury's mind. He's just all over the place. I don't think you can analyze the guy, and I think maybe he says all these things so you can't analyze him. You know, he'll say one thing, he'll say another. He's just totally inconsistent. And I think he does it just so no one knows really where his mind's at. And that makes him potentially dangerous and hard to kind of, says he's going to do something in a ring, then won't, then says it will. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see, you know, while White get the chance, and I mean, you know, there's a thing to say. Why should it be Wilder? Why should it be? You know, if it's for the belt. This is about the belt, not about the court case. You know, that court case was between Fury and Wilder, not the WBC, not the WBC belt. I don't know where Wilder is in the WBC rankings, but it definitely should be White one for the belt.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I mean, Fury's got like he's got a very kind of loyal following, and they will kind of probably come at us if we kind of say anything about. But it does kind of bother me a little bit that he seems to get a pass for, you know, some of the shit fights that he's put up. When he made that comeback, Sefer Safiri, and then there was that Italian guy, I can't remember his name now. And then obviously he fights Wilder, obviously does a number on him, fair play, in his backyard, etc., etc. But then fights Tom Schwartz, and then Otto Wallin. And it's like, well, are people like really dying to see that? Like, can people kind of, you know, how do you kind of justify that? You know, those kind of level of fights.
Yeah, I think it's hard.
Know, and then it's all the Instagram stuff, and, you know, wandering around in Vegas calling everybody a dosser and these bad suits and big check. I don't know, just
his followers just like him for being unpredictable and weird. I mean, I think for the hardcore people that like boxing, not just his fans. You know, it's a thing where I think he could get away with that because he wasn't carrying a belt. You know, he came back, had those 2 easy fights, but to be fair, he put on so much weight. He went into Wilder, got a you know, a draw. The Otto Wallin fight, I probably now I see what Wallin's gone and done. Probably don't think that's a bad one. I can't remember who the other one was after the Wilder one.
I know, but mate, come on, like you could name 15 names that you'd have rather seen him fight other than Otto Wallin. 15 other heavyweights that you'd rather see him fight. Maybe more at the time.
But I don't think he hadn't had a belt. You know, he'd gone and tried to win a belt, and he'd not won it.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's nothing wrong with him dropping down a level. But he fought 2 in between. So I said Otto Wallin is forgivable. And I'm not saying it's what I want to see. I suppose my point is what's forgivable and what's not forgivable. Who did he fight? When was Sefer Seferi? Is that in between the two? He had
it was on the Frampton undercard, wasn't it? When Frampton fought.
Who did he fight after Wilder, the first Wilder fight?
Tom Schwartz.
So the Schwartz fight is pretty unforgivable.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's an unforgivable one. That's a bad one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you on that. Otto Wallin, not so much, but because I think he should have done if he got into an Otto Wallin and then another big fight, I think that's all right. He got a draw, he got knocked down twice, come back with a fight. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. But it's so it's only probably that one before Wallins that's probably the bad one. Honest, I don't.
If you look, beating Wilder twice and Vladimir Klitschko, both in their backyards. After that, though, you've got to look at his body of work, and his resume is actually pretty thin. Like, who would you say his best win is after those two?
No, I agree.
Chisora, yeah.
I agree. Probably Chisora.
Yeah.
Around that kind of level. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can. There's things that it's once you've got a belt, once you've established yourself, things become more unforgivable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if Joshua went and fought like a no one, that's pretty unforgivable. 3 belts and all that stuff. If the fact that if Fury had actually won that first fight, he didn't on record. He drew it, but he lost his attempt to win the belt in a sense. So therefore he has to kind of go back down. So I wouldn't begrudge him having a kind of an easier fight and then come back. The 2 easy fights were were too much.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's how I see it. I don't know why I didn't fight in December. This whole court case thing's rolled on too much. There's now this. It is just tying things up, and I just want the WBC to actually cut. They're almost just sat there waiting for like Wilder to win it back or someone to win, one of them two to kind of hold on to it, and then God knows who they'll probably then call. They'll want the undisputed, so this is just really bad for White.
Yeah, it is. Dillian White is really losing out in this, and I just wonder how much more patience he's got to kind of wait for his chance, because he's now not officially the mandatory. I don't know who they're going to install as the mandatory challenger. And if it isn't Dillian White, then who would you put in?
Well, I don't know. I'd be saying to the WBC, like, why am I not the mandatory challenger? Who is, or how do I become it? Give me a fight against someone that puts me the mandatory challenger. That's what I'd be saying. Are they waiting for the rematch? Well, all those bloody fights were meant to be on the card as well. So do we have to wait? Probably have to wait looking 3 months for them as well, don't we?
Well, what is happening with that? Is that undercard not going ahead? Probably not.
I don't know that, but
you just got to think as well, like in the WBC heavyweight rankings, like who are the other heavyweights that are making big strides to kind of overtake Dillian White and what he's done? Like Andy Ruiz has been kind of in the wilderness, kind of went life and death with Chris Arreola. Kawanaki lost to Helenius.
I think that their rematch may have given maybe the winner of that may be the one they may have said to White, you've got to fight them for
mandatory.
Mandatory. I don't agree with it, but that's just what they have done.
The whole thing, I don't know, it kind of stinks for me, and I'm kind of a bit sick to the back teeth of the whole Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. I'm just like, I'm a boxing fan. And I haven't seen them fight for like well over 18 months, and it stands to, it looks like it's going to be a little bit longer as well, that we're going to have to wait. Yeah, I don't know. But that would be my sort of take on it. If Sullivan or the WBC can kind of step in and go like enough is enough, and then just kind of nominate 2 people to fight for the vacant belt, and then hopefully that'll kick into action, Tyson Fury, and maybe he'll get his act together and start. Because by the way, he's 33 this year, 34 next year. We all know that he doesn't live the life. I wonder if we've seen the best of Tyson Fury. Is he going to be, is he still going to be improving? Is he going to get better? I think, this will be the start of the decline, to be honest. Yeah,
I wouldn't hold out for WBC to answer your prayers.
No, I don't think so either. All right, rant over. There is other fights that we need to kind of catch up on. I don't know if you saw Gilberto Ramirez versus Sullivan Barrera.
I saw no boxing this weekend.
Okay. Well, hopefully normal service is going to resume, and we'll be back to boxing now that the Euros is over.
Watch Arthur fight. Didn't even watch that.
Yeah, well, no, I need to catch up on that as well. But obviously, I've been a big follower of. I really do like Gilberto Ramirez. So I did watch that fight. It was a good performance. I mean, Sullivan Barrera is 39 now, so he is kind of, he's seen better days, but he is still a very solid light heavyweight. He's somebody that Eddie Hearn has been trying to match up to Joshua Buatsi for quite some time. He's kind of, for a long time, he was actually considered a bit of a contender, Sullivan Barrera, and then his first loss was against Andre Ward, and then he's just been kind of a little bit of a gatekeeper opponent for the light heavyweight division. Very solid fundamentals, really good, boxing IQ, does everything really, really well and solid. So he's just a good sort of light heavyweight, but I do think he's seen better days. He's definitely slowed down a little bit. Gilberto Ramirez kind of dealt with him pretty well, stopped him. He'd only been stopped once before, which was in the 12th round. I can't remember who that was now, but Ramirez stopped him in 4, I think it was, nailed him with a body shot. And I thought he looked really good. And I think they're now talking about Ramirez fighting light heavyweight Russian with Matchroom. Who?
Oh, Bietabev.
No, not Beterbiev, the other one.
But not Babbitt, but Bivol.
Bivol, Dmitry Bivol, yeah. They're talking about that next.
For a unify. To unify.
Ramirez doesn't hold a belt. He was champion. He was WBO champion at super middleweight. He doesn't hold a belt yet. Bivol's champion. Beterbiev is obviously champion. I think is it Joe Smith Jr. is the other champion. Beterbiev has 2 belts. He got the WBC from Gvozdyk. Beterbiev is really the man for the division, I think. But I don't know. I think Ramirez is a contender. Again, he's not an easy fight for Bivol or Beterbiev, and I would really like to see that. Obviously Bivol and Ramirez is probably the easiest one to fight because they're both on DAZN.
Bivol's all light heavy, where Bietabev is the opposite. The just changing the subject. There's a fight. I think it's this weekend, isn't it? It's the lighter Charlo. Can't remember which one. Isn't he going?
Jamel Charlo is light middle. Castano.
Yeah, I didn't know that this was for Undisputed.
Is it actually Undisputed?
That's what I was hearing on Boxing Boys, which I was really surprised about.
Yeah, I guess it probably is actually. Yeah, that's a good fight.
Because I knew Charlo had 2 belts, but he must have 2 belts as well then.
Yeah, and obviously the Ring magazine will probably be throwing it for good measure. Yeah, and staying with the light middleweight, Tim Tszyu knocks out Steve Spark. I think it was in round 3. I watched that fight this week as well. That was on the Wednesday. It's difficult to kind of judge where Tim Tszyu is at because of the competition that he's facing, but he's pretty high on the rankings now, and they've got to be talking about him in with potentially, I don't know, a final eliminator for a title or fighting for the title.
Yeah, I heard he was calling out Charlie.
Yeah, I'm really excited by him. I think he's got, obviously he's got the Costa Tszyu, he's got the genetics. It would have been good to see him fight against Michael Zarafa because I do think that is a slightly better opponent than the one that he faced in the end. It's difficult for fighters that are based in Australia, New Zealand, that part of the world. The competition isn't as good, and you just wonder whether being based in either Europe or Vegas is maybe a better move for them. I've always thought that for Joseph Parker. I know that he's but I know that he's obviously working with working in Ireland now. So yeah, that's probably a good move for him. Any other news?
Nope.
I think that's it now. We've got to kind of get back into kind of boxing mode. The football's over. Our hearts have been broken once more. Let's try and catch up again sort of later this week. We can maybe do a prediction video for Charlo Castano, and
I think
start looking at the schedule as well.
we're really looking forward to the Fury Wilder fight and all the fights on the undercard. That was the big thing of the month, really. And that's kind of gone. And all we're left with is maybe we get the undercard or not. Probably not. All we're left with is bloody what's the BT fight the night before?
Joe Joyce versus Carlos Takam.
Still don't know right what. I'll still come round yours to watch that.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. All right. Let's wrap it up. Thanks to everybody for listening. All right. We'll speak to you soon.